Hello everyone, in this session we will be discussing practical question number 9 in your textbook. Now let us see first transaction. In April 1st, we have balance of cash in hand rupees 4,000 and we have overdraft at bank rupees 50,000. So this cash balance in hand we will record it in debit side of our cash book, and overdraft balance we will write it down on the credit side of our cash book. Now here, to balance brought down, we have 4,000 in cash column, and in credit side of our cash book we have balance brought down, that is overdraft of rupees 50,000 in our bank column. Then next, on April 4, they said that the proprietor have introduced a capital of rupees 1 lakh, and out of this 1 lakh 60,000 he immediately deposited it into bank. So when a new capital is introduced in the business, that means for business it is receiving that capital. So that means we have to note it down on the debit side of our cash book, and since 60,000 was deposited into bank, so we will write 60,000 in our bank column, and the remaining 40,000 we will note it down in the cash column. Now let's see, on April 4 we will write to capital account 40,000 in cash column and 60,000 was deposited into bank, so 60,000 we will record it in bank column. The next transaction, on date 5, we sold goods for cash rupees 30,000, and on that 30,000 of amount we have to add CGST as well as SGST at the rate of 6% of each. So since it is cash sale, means we will receive cash, so we will write it in debit side to sales account 30,000. Then we have output CGST, output SGST, and 6% of 30,000 is 1,800 and 1,800 each. Then next, on day 10, purchase goods for rupees 55,000 plus CGST and SGST at 6% each, and issued a check for the same. That means we purchase goods worth rupees 55,000. On that 55,000 we have to add 6% of CGST and again 6% of SGST, and whatever the amount is, we issued a check for the same. That means money will be deducted from our bank account, so we will write down the amount on bank column. So April 10, we will write buy purchases 55,000 given in the question. Then by input CGST and input SGST, we have to calculate 6% of 55,000, that is 3,300 each for both the amount. For both the GST. Now you have to remember, if we had made cash payment, then we will record purchases as well as CGST and SGST in cash column. But in this transaction, they have mentioned that we made payment by check, so we wrote CGST and SGST amount as well in the bank column. The next transaction, on date 11, paid to Ram Vilas, our creditor, rupees 25,000, and he gave us, that means we received discount of rupees 1,000. So for discount allowed, that is discount received for us, we will note it down in the discount received. This discount received of 1,000 we will record it in journal, and the remaining amount that we have paid, that is 25,000 to our creditor, that we will record it in our cash book. So on 11th of April we wrote by Ram Vilas 25,000, and for discount allowed, or you can say discount received, we will pass one journal entry in our journal proper. Ram Vilas is the receiver and discount received account is always credited. So 1,000 each on both column. Then in explanation or narration you can write discount received from Ram Vilas. Then next, on April 14, rent of 8,000 plus CGST and SGST at 6% each paid by check. That means rent we paid 8,000, and on that 8,000 of rent we have to pay 6% of CGST and 6% of SGST as well, and this payment was made by check. So we will note it down on the receipt side, that payment side, that is on the credit side, by rent 8,000 in bank column. Then by input CGST, input SGST, 6% of 8,000 is 480 and 480 each. The next, on April 15, office furniture purchased and a check of rupees 22,400 issued for the same, and same including CGST and SGST at 6% each. That means the check that we issued of rupees 22,400, it includes 6% of SGST as well as 6% of CGST as well. So the actual amount of furniture is somewhat less than 22,400, so that we have to find out. It is simple. You can find out 6% of 22,400 for CGST and again 6% of 22,400 for SGST. Okay, now let us see. We purchase furniture, we will write by furniture, then by input CGST, by input SGST. Now when you calculate 6% of 22,400, you will get 1,344 for both the GST. And after finding out these two amount, you have to simply deduct from 22,400 and the remaining amount of rupees 19,720 that you will write in furniture account. That is the actual amount that we paid for furniture, and the remaining amount was for GST. The next on April 16, drew check for personal use 5,000. Since we drew check for personal use, it will be treated as drawing. So we will write by drawings account in bank column 5,000. Then next on April 18, collection from Atul rupees 15,000 deposited in the bank on April 19th April. That means we collected 15,000 from Atul on 18th April, but we deposited that amount on 19th April. So first we will note down the amount that we received from Atul on April 18. So we will write to Atul in cash column 15,000 since we received cash from him. Then next on date 19, since we deposited that 15,000 into the bank, so in this transaction both cash and bank are involved, so it is a contra entry. So on April 19, we will enter on receipt side. We will see who is receiving that amount. Since we are depositing it into bank is the receiver, so we will write 15,000 in bank column. And when we look into the journal entry of this transaction, it will be bank account debited to cash, so here we will write to cash account. Similarly on credit side, we will write on April 19 by bank and 15,000 in cash column because cash is making the payment. Then next on April 20, goods sold to Amrit Raj for 80,000 plus CGST and SGST at 6% each. Now see, for these sales they haven't mentioned whether it is cash sale or credit sale, so we are going to assume it as credit sale. And for credit transaction we don't record in cash book, we will simply just pass one journal entry. So Amrit Raj account debit, input CGST account debit, input SGST account debit to sales account. Now for amount, when we see that we sold goods worth rupees 80,000, so that 80,000 we will write in Amrit Raj's opposite, and we have to calculate 6% of CGST and SGST. So 6% of 80,000 is 4,800 and 4,800. After adding all these three all together, we will write 89,600. Then next on April 25, received a check of 88,000 from Amrit Raj in full settlement of his account and deposited into bank on 28th April. Now there in this transaction we have to see two conditions. First, they said that we received a check of 88,000, but they didn't mention that we deposited that check on the same day. We deposited it after some days. So for this receipt of check, we will pass one journal entry instead of recording it into cash book. So checks in hand, because we are holding check in our hand as of now, we are not depositing it into bank, so we will write checks in hand account debit, the exact value of check, that is 88,000. Then earlier when we sold goods to Amrit Raj, we were supposed to receive 89,600 from him, but we received only 88,000. That means we allowed him some discount, so discount allowed account will be debited and 89,600 minus 88,000 is 1,600, and altogether Amritraj, he was supposed to pay us 89,600. Then come to the second part of this transaction. They said that we deposited that check into bank on 28th April. So for that we will record in our cash book on the debit side, because when we deposit that check into bank, we will receive amount in our bank account. So on April 28, on debit side we wrote 2 checks in hand account, and in the bank column we wrote 88,000. Then next transaction, on day 29, drew from bank for salary of the office staff rupees 25,000, means we withdrew some cash from the bank for paying salary of staff. So we will write in the payment side April 29 by salary account. In bank column we will write 25,000. Then again on 29, paid salary of the manager by check, means instead of giving him cash as salary, we gave him one check of rupees 10,000 as his salary, so money will be deducted from our bank. So again we wrote by salary account, and in bank column we wrote 10,000. Now after entering all the transaction, we have to balance the cash book. So roughly you find out total of debit, cash and bank column, then credit balance of cash and bank column. Then after matching, you will find that we have debit balance of cash column of rupees 52,600 and credit balance of bank column of rupees 19,960. So this 19,960 will be treated as bank overdraft in next month. Okay, I hope this question is easy and you have understood this question. So for this session we will wind up here. Thank you.